Good morning. Good morning. What is going on, everybody? Thank you very much for being here. Friday, July 11th, 8 a.m. on the dot. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Looking forward to doing this morning show. Got a lot to get into today, and we'll wrap up the week here. Close it off. Close it off strong. Let everybody go enjoy their weekend after this. So thank you very much for being a part of the show. Kind of a fun night last night. Gotta be honest with everybody. Did a little post game show action. Lakers Summer League. Cooper Flagg. Who they promoting yesterday? Basically promoting Cooper Flagg. They should have been promoting not Ryan Nemhart. They should have been promoting Cole Swider because not everybody was exactly great, but it was fun to do so. I actually really enjoyed the summer league game. It was fun to get a chance to watch some live action and get to see some of the great young players. Hopefully, the great young players that are going to be in the league for a while. Okay, I'm going to do a rundown here in a quick second. Let me just start off the show if you guys don't mind. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't mind subscribing to the channel. What are we closing in on? Closing in on 33,000. We're almost at 32.5, something like that. So thank you very much for the support. I appreciate you guys doing that. Please consider being a member, an MVP member. It's $3 a month. Would love for everybody, obviously, to become a member. The more members we have, great support to the channel. And thank you very much for everybody who is already a member. If you got something you want to put in the chat today, feel free to do so. If you send a super, I will 100% read it as well. Okay, so let me give everyone a quick rundown as we kind of get to Friday here. What are we, almost in mid-July? Kind of looking and shaking. All right, what else is happening in the NBA? I'm going to spend a little time on yesterday's game, last night's game, Cooper Flagg, talk a little bit about Bronny James, talk a little bit about Dalton Connect. Just kind of a little recap. Nothing crazy, but man, so much hype behind that game last night. Literally, so much hype behind that game. And maybe this is just brilliant from the NBA to find hype in mid-July about their sport, really in some, I don't want to call it meaningless in the sense that it's not meaningful to teams and franchises and players, but meaningless in the sense standings obviously don't matter. Has nothing to do with that. So a little bit on the Summer League chatter. Lakers got another game coming up, by the way, tomorrow. LeBron's offseason. If you spend some time right now, there are a lot of really, really good stories circling around LeBron and what his offseason has been like. And the Lakers clearly making Luka Doncic the number one priority. I got some good sound from Brian Windhorst from yesterday, who was on Get Up. Working on Brian Windhorst for next week. Let's see what happens. Him and I were texting a little bit, so we'll see if he's able to make that work within his schedule. I'll keep you guys posted on that. So some of the articles on LeBron this morning, Brian Windhorst and Ramona Shelburne had a really good article on ESPN.com just about how basically this is a complete changing of the guard. Lakers are almost looking at LeBron's contract as just an expiring contract, which never happens for a man like LeBron James. And, what the offseason is going to look like the rest of the way, and just not even a changing of the guard. It's like the message has already been sent. This is Luka's team, and every move they make now is going to be around Luka. So spend a little bit of time on that. Someone also had, Sam Amico had a good article out there as well in regards to just, I guess there's a lot of people out there that are talking about how it's odd that the Lakers never made any announcement that LeBron was re-upping into the final year, taking that final year of his contract, that there was no statement from the Lakers, that when new ownership was announced, Luka came out with a statement, LeBron didn't say anything. So we'll tie some of that stuff together. I think really at the foundation of all this, it just means one thing. The chapter is almost done. And, obviously this could very well be the final year of LeBron James. We'll see. We'll see what eventually happens, but I definitely got a couple things on that. Zach Lowe was doing his podcast, and he did mention the latest on Bradley Beal. Not that it seems like his destination is going to change, but more the timetable of when he expects it to happen. So we'll get into that as well. I thought there was a good article that also came out in The Athletic talking about how the Lakers and the Clippers have similar strategies, their paths, freeing up space for 2027, trying to be prepared to pitch or to sell one of these star athletes when the opportunity comes. But damn, could the franchises not be so wildly different? So their game plan might be the same. The strategy might look similar, but the two franchises are polar opposites of what they are. And honestly, this is no knock on the Clippers, but it's just the truth. The franchises are completely opposite in regards to what each brand represents. Doesn't mean it guarantees the Lakers anything, but I think when some of those big free agents or Lakers or Clippers are trying to make a trade and somebody's trying to decide which franchise they want to be with, is it really much of a conversation? We'll get into that as well with the Lakers and the Clippers. And then I got some NBA news that I want to get into, some stuff on Jalen Williams, Nikola Jokic not getting into his contract for more strategic reasons. And then we'll do a little bit of a weekend preview, and that's it. Then we'll call it a day. Everyone can go enjoy their weekend. So thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. I do have a coffee. Cheers to everybody here on whatever you're drinking this morning. Got some coffee, got some water, and I'm all set to go. All right, let's take a look at a couple of the comments here before we get started, and then we'll dive into some of this summer league stuff. Good morning from Alaska, my brother. How awesome is that? Very, very cool. All right, let's see what we got here. Salute from Slovenia. How cool is that? Man, it's the one thing about YouTube that's so cool. Anybody from anywhere, live stream at any time, they're all obviously a part of the show. So thank you for being a part of the show. Doubt is the beginning of wisdom. Eric, appreciate you sharing that. Thank you, buddy. It's Friday. Heading to San Francisco. Watch the Dodgers start a winning streak this weekend. Yeah, that's a good. I'll put that in the weekend preview. I have that in the weekend preview. That's going to be a good series. You look forward to that series, and I'm already stressed out about the Padres and the Phillies out here in San Diego. So we have different stresses, my friend. Different stresses. Shout out from Taiwan. Hey, okay, you know what? I haven't done this in a little bit. Why don't you guys throw a little roll call in here? Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. As the show goes on, I'll give some love to where everybody's tuning in from. Look, this is a very natural, organic way of doing it. I didn't ask people where they're tuning from. They're just letting me know. So thank you very much for wherever you're tuning in from. We got Texas in the house. We got Costa Rica in the house. We got the 818 in the house. We got Sweden in the house. Look at this. Puerto Rico in the house. Thank you very much for tuning in. Pittsburgh, Chicago. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys all being here. All right. We'll let that do its thing. And then as the show goes on, I'll keep an eye out. I'll stop at Chicago. Chicago's my all caps in Chicago. I'll start looking at everything underneath there as the show goes on. Okay. So let me just real quick here. I don't know how many people got a chance to watch that Summer League game yesterday. Got to be honest, it's kind of funny. When I did the post game yesterday, I'm saying to myself, I'm like, anybody going to be watching this thing? But we got a few thousand views out of it. So clearly some people, even in the summer, were paying attention to what the Lakers were doing and paying attention to Summer League. And you don't have to sell me on anything. If you got basketball, I'm in. I'm all in on that. I obviously enjoy these games, and not even just the Lakers and the Mavs. I'm not telling you I watched any other Summer League games because I didn't. But as this thing progresses, there are some young picks that I'll be curious about. Just a quick recap of yesterday. Obviously, all the buzz around Cooper Flagg, as it should be. Number one pick, only 18 years old, supposed to be a generational talent, a player that's going to be doing everything. He wasn't good yesterday. It's so funny. I read some articles last night, read some articles this morning, and I love how everyone kind of finds a way to. How do I properly put this? Nobody wants to. There's a way you can critique somebody without it being offensive. You can critique. You can say that Cooper Flagg is going to be an absolute stud in the NBA. He's only 18 years old, and these Summer League games really don't mean that much. It's just part of his development. You can also say he wasn't good last night. He was 5 of 21 from the field. He said, there was a quote. And by the way, if there's one thing that I really liked about Cooper Flagg yesterday, I loved his honesty. To be frank with you, I thought he was more honest than everyone was trying to perceive him. Let me read you a quote of what he said yesterday. He said, that might have been one of the worst games of my life. He didn't mix any of his words. He just said exactly what it is. And he should. He said, I was obviously a little nervous. It's a new environment, a lot of new fans and whatnot. So I was a little nervous, a little excited, but just happy to be here. It's a dream come true. So I'm just trying to enjoy the moment. The dude's going to be a stud. I'm not going to spend too much time on him. I thought some of the, highlight moments is him trying to post up on Bronny. He's probably got 6-7 inches on Bronny. and he's trying to post him up. And I be honest with you, Bronny kind of holding his own. You could tell Cooper Flagg, so young, 18 years old. It's going to take him some time to develop his body, get to the body that he's looking for. And that might not come for 5 years. I mean, in 5 years, he'll be 23 years old, 24 years old. He's still, going to be in a body that's developing. Obviously, a lot more developed, but what he does from a strength perspective and things along those lines. But he had a highlight dunk, and he had some moments where I thought it was interesting. In a summer league game, it's cool. Yes, he could bring up the ball, try to initiate the offense and everything else. When the actual NBA season starts and you got the Dallas Mavericks, who still got a lot of pressure for trading Luka Doncic and, obviously trying to figure out what their future is going to be, but they got an absolute stud in Cooper Flagg. They'll wait for Kyrie Irving to come back. They signed D'Angelo Russell. What are they actually going to do? Are they going to really have an 18-year-old try to run their offense or initiate their offense? I'm a little bit weary of that, so we'll see what happens there. But I thought Cooper Flagg just kind of showed there were some areas of his game where you're like, yeah, he clearly is 18 years old. And there's some other areas of his game. It's like, all right, well, the guy's eventually going to be a stud. He's going to be a two-way player, but nothing too crazy, too impressive yesterday. I mentioned this yesterday when I did the post-game show. If I start looking at some of the Laker players, Bronny, for example, 5 points right out the gate. Lakers went up 5-0, only scored 3 more points the rest of the game. Dalton Connect kind of up and down. I think everybody's just hoping Dalton Connect instantly becomes a player where, hey, it's his second year. It's the summer league. This guy was a top 20 pick last year. You saw the way he started the season in the NBA last year. You're kind of just hoping and expecting, not even hoping. You're expecting him to dominate in the summer league, and maybe my expectations are off. Maybe that shouldn't be the case. He was okay yesterday, 6 of 16. Had 15 points, did leave the game a little bit early and only ended up playing 26 minutes. Kind of funny. And again, I'm not going to spend too much time on the summer league, but I'll make this the final point that I make in regards to this. Cole Swider has really been the best player for the Lakers all summer league. That doesn't guarantee him a spot on the team. That doesn't mean he's going to, be a part of the organization for the next 3 to 5 years, but another 22 and 10. And the dude is efficient as hell. Every time he shoots, it's a bucket that it's a shot that he should be taking. Let's put it that way. Every time I look at the stat line, he's 7 of 10 from the field, 6 of 10 from the field, and he's putting up 20 plus points. To give an example, and I don't want to keep harping on Cooper Flagg here. Cooper Flagg had 10 points yesterday. It took him 21 shots to get 10 points. Flip that for Cole Swider. Took him 10 shots to get 22 points. So you could see the efficiency that he had. But overall, it's fun. I just enjoyed watching the game, and I thought for a summer league game and for us to be sitting here in July and to see that much hype behind the game and everybody, what was the conversation coming into last night's matchup was it was the most expensive ticket in summer league history as far as average ticket price was $200 a pop. There were some tickets going for $200 to $300 to go to a summer league game in July, and most of these players aren't even going to make the league. That's what a brilliant job the NBA has done as far as promoting their young stars, and a lot of people are interested in seeing the young stars, and obviously we got a chance to get a little bit of a taste of that yesterday with Cooper Flagg. So Lakers got another game coming up tomorrow. Let me just double check here the time of the game. I know it's the Pelicans. Maybe it's in the afternoon, 5:30, something along those lines. But let me just double check. And let's see here. Yep, 5:30 tomorrow against the Pelicans. So Lakers and the Pelicans tomorrow. If you guys want to watch that, the game will be on ESPN. I think it's on ESPN2. It's also on ESPN Plus, so something to keep in mind in regards to that. Okay, let me read some of the comments here. Let me read some of the comments here, and then we'll keep things rolling. And then I'm gonna start hitting on some LeBron and some Luka stuff. Got some good sound that I want to play from Brian Windhorst, and a lot of people see this LeBron situation a little odd. We'll see what happens from there. Got out muscled by Bronny. You're talking about Cooper Flagg did. He did. Yeah, listen, I give Bronny credit in this, and we'll see what eventually Bronny becomes in this league. And I'm going to taper my expectations. I think he's a project, right? Like, it's going to take time. I have no idea if he'll have success in the NBA. I have no idea if he'll ever find his way on a team where with 5 minutes left to go, Bronny James is in the game because that's the best option to close out a game. And maybe he just becomes a defensive specialist and is also has a little bit of, a little bit of a threat on the offensive side. I don't have the answer for you, but I think what I'm telling you is he's obviously a project and he's going to take some time to get figured out. Cooper Flagg, overrated. I will find out. I will tell you this. There's a lot of hype behind him. A lot of hype. I'll give you an example. Remember all the hype that was there for Zion? Well, Zion was overrated. Zion hasn't been available. Zion did not change and completely change the trajectory of the Pelicans. Who even knows if he's going to be a part of the future for that team? But that's a team that that's a player that had massive hype. And obviously he was overrated. That's just the best way to put it. Unfortunately, and I don't think this is going to be the issue for Cooper Flagg. Unfortunately, with Zion, his body was never right. Always felt like he needed to lose weight. The pressure that he was putting on his knees is probably had to do with some of the injuries that he's had. So we'll see what happens in regards to that. Let me get to a couple more comments here. Let's get another one here. The Mavs have AD, D'Lo, Max, Frank Vogel, Jason Kidd, and now Phil Handy too. Is Nico trying to replicate the 2020 Lakers? Dallas roster is stacked. It's funny, Michael. I think a lot of people, it's interesting. Every time I bring up the Dallas Mavericks, I think Dallas got a really good team. But I think it's fair to say this when people are like, hey, pump the brakes on Dallas. What makes you think these guys you can rely on from a health perspective? And I know these are all Lakers, but Klay Thompson, obviously older. Anthony Davis has never been a player that you looked at and said, well, he's reliable as far as being on the floor every single night. Kyrie's not even playing right now. But I'll tell you what they do have. They got wild size in the bigs that they have, and then also with Anthony Davis, and then now adding Cooper Flagg. So they got great size. The question is just going to be, are they going to be healthy? If I told you the top 3 teams in the Western Conference, I'm not putting Dallas in there, but you can sell me on Dallas being 4th or 5th, something along those lines, but you got to really sell me. And part of that just has to do with the health perspective. But on paper, they got a squad. On paper doesn't mean anything when you obviously can continue to move forward. Philippines, thank you for being in the chat here. 805 Central Course, North Carolina, 909 here. South Korea in the house, Sweden, New Jersey, Stony Hill, Jamaica, UK in the house, Wyoming in the house. So I appreciate you guys all being here. LA, of course, in the house as well. Tawanga, if you're just tuning in right now, we just out of nowhere had a roll call. Just kind of came out of nowhere here. Okay, let me keep moving with some of the topics here, and we'll take it from there. Flagg will be good. Yeah, I mean, you need a couple of years to have any idea of what this player is going to be in the NBA. I mean, you know how many draft picks that were not pick number 1, were not pick number 2, were not pick number, they're picked 5, 10th, 15th, and nobody talked about on draft night, or nobody talked about in the summer league, and they're dominating the NBA. Nikola Jokic, Kawhi was past 10, Giannis was past 10. I mean, there are MVP stars that were nowhere near the top 10 or outside of the top 10. So, it doesn't mean I always look back at that draft with Lonzo. It went Markelle Fultz number 1, Lonzo number 2, and then obviously Tatum at number 3. Tatum was by far the best player, now a champion. Markelle Fultz has been a journeyman trying to kind of find a way. Lonzo's been dealing with injuries. You just never know with the draft. Okay, there was an article here. Appreciate the comments, by the way. Appreciate all the good comments, too, adding to the conversation. So I really appreciate that. Let me read something here. Sam Amico, who's part of HoopsWire, been in the business for a long time. I'm kind of shift gears here to LeBron. It's going to tie me back to Luka, and it's going to kind of tie into a bigger conversation about the two of these players and just kind of where the Lakers franchise is. Here's what he said. This is Sam Amico. He said that this is, by the way, one veteran NBA executive told him the following. Yeah, usually when a star player like LeBron James opts into his contract, the team announces the move, the executive told Amico. I find this very strange. Something is definitely going on behind the scenes. I mean, the odds of LeBron getting traded are very, very, very low. His salary is just too high. Let me kind of read the rest of this here. But I think LeBron and the Lakers front office are butting heads. They haven't had an impressive offseason at all, talking about the team. And then there are rumors that Lakers general manager Rob Pelinka is saving cap space for 2027. That's just idiotic when you have LeBron and Luka. So this is an executive that told Sam Amico kind of about the Lakers situation and obviously what's unfolding with the Lakers. The thing that probably stood out to me most, there's two things that stood out most in this statement here, or these quotes that came out. One of them is the obvious one, that it's very strange that the Lakers didn't do anything or say anything or have any type of mention that he was opting into the final year of his contract. That's number one. He said that's very strange. The second thing is the last part where he says that's just idiotic when you have LeBron and Luka, that Lakers are saving cap space for 2027. Okay, let's try to kind of piece this thing together. And as best as I can, I'm going to try to be honest as well. I think if you told me right now, should the Lakers have one of two decisions to make. Should they go all in right now because they have LeBron and they have Luka? Granted, there's a 14-year difference between the two players. And granted, go look at what the Western Conference looks like. I think a lot of times everything is timing and it's your window. You might want to go all in, but you might look at the Western Conference. Should teams have been going all in? I'm giving this as an example. I'm not saying this is the situation in the West. But when Kevin Durant joined the Golden State Warriors, was that the time to go all in? I don't know. Probably not, just because you felt like they were going to dominate. If I said that the Lakers got two options here, go all in right now with Luka and LeBron and get rid of every asset that you have for basically a 1-year run where you got to go up against the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Houston Rockets, the Denver Nuggets. How good will Dallas be? Let's see what Golden State Warriors, what they end up doing with the rest of their roster. The Clippers clearly got a really good roster, and they could very well add to it by getting Bradley Beal and potentially Chris Paul as well. Or just completely start planning for the future, because you feel like whatever you do, it's not going to be good enough to go up against those squads. And how much can you rely on LeBron, who's 40 and will be 41 by the time the calendar turns and we get to January 1st. So the executive that, put in here that he thinks it's idiotic by the Lakers, it's just idiotic when you have LeBron and Luka, then I think what that executive is trying to say, and you could make this case, and I'm sure there's a lot of Laker fans. I'm not looking at the comments right now, so it's on a separate screen. I'll go back to it in a second. There are a lot of Laker fans that could very well say, you got to go all in right now. You have to. If you don't go all in right now, what the hell are you doing? Who cares about the future? Lakers are going to figure it out. But I think the bigger question you got to ask yourself the question of, can those two actually go compete for an NBA championship right now with how I would call it flawed the Lakers roster is? Can they actually compete for a championship? Do you actually really think that there's a move to be made where they could be kind of leading the pack in the Western Conference, or toe-to-toe with Denver, or toe-to-toe with Houston, or toe-to-toe with the Oklahoma City Thunder? I'm just using those three because I do think those are the three best teams in the Western Conference. It feels like there isn't a move to put the Lakers in that category. It feels like the Lakers, for the first time in a really long time, are saying to themselves, guys, we keep chasing something that's not there. And I just don't think there's something there. That doesn't mean the Lakers can't compete. Doesn't mean the Lakers can't have a successful upcoming season. It doesn't mean that the Lakers can't be a headache in the playoffs. But I think for me to say, hey, trade Austin Reeves, get rid of Dalton Connect, get rid of that first rounder, get rid of every asset that you have right now, because now is the time to go all in, sounds irresponsible to me. That's what it sounds like to me. And I think obviously the situation for the Lakers, and I'm not telling you that this offseason has been a good one for the Lakers. I'm not telling you that, everybody's walking away with a ton of confidence with what the team and the structure of what the team has done. But I think one thing you can say is it feels like they're being a little bit more responsible. It feels like the page is certainly churning, and maybe that's why LeBron is not. Maybe that's why he put out that statement when he did. Maybe the Rich Paul statement. Maybe there is some friction between the front office and LeBron because the Lakers have told LeBron, "This is it, brother. You've been an unbelievable partner, but we've reached an end here where we really got to start looking towards the future." And we got this 26-year-old who can very well be the MVP this upcoming season. Has some games in the NBA where he dropped 70 points, is getting into the best shape he's ever been in his life because he's got a chip on his shoulder and he wants to one day become a Laker legend. And in order for us as a responsible franchise to accommodate what the future looks like, it could affect what the present looks like. And I think that's obviously been the biggest headache for LeBron. Let me play something here for everybody real quick. I want to play this. This was Brian Windhorst. And I want to play this for everybody. First off, anytime Windhorst is given his opinion on the Lakers or the NBA, I have a little bit more of I kind of go out of my way to play it. I do respect his opinion, and obviously what he's been able to do in his relationship with LeBron, and kind of having, it feels like, a lot of the ins. Take a listen here. This is on Get Up. This is Windhorst talking about the Lakers situation and where the priority is today.
There is no update, Dan. Okay. LeBron is continuing to watch, but he is still under contract for $53 million, which makes, no matter what anything is said, both verbally or non-verbally, his likelihood of remaining a Laker. I can't emphasize what I'm about to say enough. Regardless of who they sign at center, regardless of what LeBron does with his option, regardless of any backup signings they make, the number one most important thing for the Lakers this offseason is getting Luka Doncic into a contract extension, which they can do after August 2nd. And I'm going to sound this warning now. He's probably not going to sign August 2nd. He's going to be playing with the Slovenian national team until mid-September, and he may not entertain that even issue until he comes back to the U.S. at that time. So it could be a long wait, but make no mistake, this offseason is not about LeBron for the Lakers. It is about Luka.
All right. You can't be any more, obviously he's not mixing his words. I like how he said too. He's like, I cannot be any more clear. The number one priority for the Lakers this offseason is Luka. That's it. And maybe, that helps with making a little bit more sense of why maybe LeBron and Rich Paul had to come out with that statement. And listen, LeBron is going to be in his 23rd year in the NBA. It's the first time ever in his career where everyone is not saying, what can I do for you? Please tell me whatever it is that you need. It's the first time an NBA team is basically saying, like, thank you, but I think it's coming to an end with us. So obviously he's not 100% not 100% sure how to treat that, how to kind of navigate that. There's a really good article. So that was Windhorst. There's a really good article this morning I mentioned when I was giving a little bit of a rundown, and it was with, let me do this. It was with Ramona Shelburne and Brian Windhorst. I'll read the title of it here. It's not crazy long, probably takes 5 minutes to read or so. Really good article, really good insight. It says LeBron James to Luka Doncic inside the most delicate superstar transition in NBA history. And basically it starts off with, if you guys remember, a couple of days after the Lakers were eliminated, there was some video of JJ Redick, Rob Pelinka, and Luka Doncic all getting together at a restaurant. It's called Craig's Restaurant on Melrose Avenue in West Hollywood. And you see them all leaving. And whatever that conversation was, it was. But the point that they were trying to make is that was a specific dinner to talk to Luka, his future, vision of the team, where the franchise is going. And that's, I think it's clear that that's becoming more and more apparent that LeBron's not a part of that. Nothing LeBron did wrong. LeBron's not 30 years old and the Lakers aren't interested. It just clearly has to do with the timeline, a 14-year different timeline. And how that all plays out when the dust settles, I don't know. We'll have to kind of wait and see. But I thought the sound clip was really, really good from Brian Windhorst. I think the idea of the number one priority for the Lakers is Luka Doncic is very, very, it's common sense. It's not, breaking news. It's exactly what the franchise should be doing. And that's exactly what the Lakers are doing. They're prioritizing Luka Doncic. What does it mean for the immediate future as far as the Lakers, and what does it mean for their chances of competing this year or next year? I think it's going to take a second. I think it's going to take a second for them to figure it all out. I think their, ultimate dream, one of these stars, namely somebody like Giannis, decides at some point, you know what, I'm not happy in Milwaukee. I want out. And if he wants out, the Lakers will be ready to go, and they're going to hope that they have the proper assets and the proper salaries to match and then give him whatever the hell he wants from 2027 moving forward. Is that likely to happen? I don't know. I have no idea, but that seems to be how the Lakers, you can tell their number one priority right now is we're going to prioritize around Luka. We're going to keep cap space available. We're going to put ourselves in a position where when a superstar is available, we're going to try to pounce on him. And if they do, then they'll team up Luka with another superstar. And then there's your future for the Lakers for the next 5+ years or whatever that's going to be. Okay, let's take a look at some of the comments. We'll start reading some of these things here. Now, I missed a lot of them here. So I'm going to be kind of going backwards a little bit. Good morning, Slee. I think Mark Walter will have the final say. And when can the Lakers start utilizing his resources? Keep doing your thing. Love the show. Thank you, Will. I appreciate you, brother. I got to be honest. I find it hard to believe that his fingerprints are not already on the franchise. I find it hard to believe. I said this to you guys, and whether this is fair or not, but this is just how my mind thinks, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there. Every single thing the Lakers do now, in the back of your mind, you're saying to yourself, oh, well, that must be new ownership. Lakers traded in the draft. They go from 55 to 45, 45 to 36. They had to give cash and that pick in order to move up to get Thero. And the only thing that I was thinking in my head, I'm like, oh, well, they did this because of new ownership. I don't know if that's the case. I really have no idea if that's the case. The fact that the Lakers gave LeBron, no, we're not going to extend you any further. This is going to be the final year. You're on a final, the final year of your contract. I'm just assuming in my head, oh, well, that must be new ownership. Prioritizing cap space and saying to themselves that we don't have to keep chasing our own tail and try to win every single year. That's not possible. And by trying to win every single year, really what you're doing is you're hurting yourself from building something sustainable. I'm just going to assume that's new ownership. So I do understand, and I read the article yesterday. Sammy was on, and we were talking a little bit about, I think it's at least for the next 5 years, the Buss family is going to be involved. Jeannie will still be the governor, all that stuff. You could put whatever you want on paper. You could release whatever you want to the public. Why would new ownership take over and pay a $10 billion valuation to go sit on the sidelines for 5 years until the Buss family is ready to, give up the franchise and say, okay, now here are the keys? I just don't think that's how that works. I don't. I got something else on ownership group that I'm going to talk about when I'm comparing the Lakers and the Clippers. So we'll do that in just a second as well. Lakers are making some stupid decisions. I don't know if they are, Steve. I got to be honest with you. Let me tell you what I think would be a stupid decision. I think a stupid decision would be, well, we got to trade Austin Reeves and we're not even getting the right value back, but we're just going to trade him because we marginally improve. And then let's trade Dalton Connect and our first rounder because we get just a little bit better as well. And then you start looking at, all right, do you have any assets left? Or Rui is traded with blah, 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 and it's too much to go get Andrew Wiggins. And do you have any assets left? Sometimes by not doing anything, that could be the right move. Sometimes by planning a little bit more for the future and sacrificing today could be the right move. By the way, I could be wrong. Maybe, for all I know, I'm going to come back on the show on Monday and Lakers were super aggressive and made moves and traded all those players away. But it feels like they are taking a deep breath and saying to themselves, all right, let's game plan a little bit here. Let's not feel like we have to be, I'll use the LeBron portion as an example. Just because LeBron tells us to do something, it doesn't mean we have to do something. And LeBron's also not 35. And if LeBron was 35, then the Lakers would do whatever the hell he asked for. He would have the leverage. Obviously, that leverage is going away. Let's get another one here. Okay, we just got Steve. I think Steve's not upset that LeBron's being kind of shut out of this. Bron needs to get into his mind, you are not the man anymore. Yeah, that's a tough one. When you've been the man your entire life, and then all of a sudden one day you wake up, it's like you're not the man anymore. And he still is the man, right? From the perspective of he's still a global name, one of the most popular names in the world, period. Worth probably $1 billion at this point. The moment he's done playing basketball, he's going to try to own an NBA franchise. He's still the man, but what he's not is a top 3 or top 5 player in the NBA, and that's what Luka is. Okay, let's get some more in here. So Luka has to be in LA to sign a contract. If he doesn't sign, he gets traded, and it makes it harder for Lakers to make their other deals than he wants, unless he wants to leave LA. I don't think he's going anywhere. Let me tell you guys why I don't think he's going anywhere. Number one, let me find that. Let me find this. To me, tells you everything. And I'm going to just try to find it. I want to try to find that statement from Luka. See if I could find it. If I can't find it, I'll just wait on it. I want to see if I could find that statement when Lakers took over, or when Mark Walter took over the team. This right here should tell you everything. And there has been, guys, I'm telling you, there's a lot of really, really good reporters out there. If there was any indication that Luka wasn't happy, that Luka didn't want to be a Los Angeles Laker, that, you know, the gamble that the Lakers took and obviously trying to sign, if there was any indication, I'm telling you, it would be reported on. Here's Luka when Mark Walter takes over the team. Here's what he said. The Lakers are an amazing organization. I'm looking forward to meeting Mark and excited about the future. I'm also grateful to Jeannie and the Buss family for welcoming me to LA, and I'm happy that Jeannie will continue to be involved. I look forward to working with both of them to win championships. Tell me what part of that statement from Luka Doncic that he put on all his platforms would give you any indication that Luka Doncic is not going to be a Laker. Listen, Luka's going to get paid. What did Andrew Bynum say one time? Didn't he say there's banks in every city? Luka's going to get paid either way. That's not the issue. There's no issue of, well, Luka can make more money if he does this and he goes there and he waits this and waits that. He's going to get paid. You don't make statements like that unless in your mind you've already decided Dallas is over, that chapter is done. I thought I was going to win a championship there and be there my entire career. It did not happen. And now we obviously sit here today, and I just think that, you know, obviously Luka is going to be a part of the new ownership. Okay, let's see what else. I'm going to read one or two more comments here and then go from there. Nobody is entering into free agency. Those days are dead. RJ, that might not be a bad thing for the Lakers. And let me tell you what I mean by that. I want people to understand, when you hear people say, well, the Lakers are freeing up cap space for 2027. Let me tell you exactly what that means, because I think people then just say, oh my gosh, Lakers, they're not going to get another star for 2 more years, or not even another star, another free agent. They're not getting another free agent for 2 years. That's not what it means. Let me tell you what it means. What it means is they want to be positioned that, I'll use Giannis's name because that's the name everybody keeps using, and Giannis has not given this stamp of approval to the Milwaukee Bucks that he's not going anywhere. But here's what it means. It basically means that if Giannis decided a year from now he wants out of Milwaukee, and he's going to be a free agent in 2027, as is a number of different players. If he decides in 2020, or he decides next year in 2026, I want out of Milwaukee, and I'm only going to play for one team, I'm going to play for the Lakers. It doesn't mean the Lakers have to wait till 2027 to go get Giannis. It means they've positioned themselves to go make a trade for Giannis, and their books are clean enough in 2027 moving forward that they could sign Giannis to a long-term extension or a long-term deal That's what it means. So when people look at, well, the Lakers are just going to do nothing for 2 years, that's not what it means. It means they're trying to position themselves, ideally, that a year from now, they're able to go acquire one of those big time names. They don't have to wait till 2027. So that's what it means. And you are right about nobody is entering into free agency. I do agree that there are a lot of these players already. A lot of these players already have put themselves in a position where, let me see here, already put themselves in a position where they're going to be where they're going to be before their contract expires. All right, let me see. Somebody said, any comment on the Golden State news? Now, listen, I've told you guys this before. Many times if things break, I'm going to need some help here. Warriors considered making a trade offer for LeBron James again. Yeah, I talked about this earlier in the week. By the way, thank you for that. Thank you for the heads up on that. And I haven't read this, but I'm assuming I'll just kind of read it as I go here. A handful of teams, including Golden State Warriors, who tried to trade for James in 2020, considered again whether to make an offer, sources said. I think that's actually part of the ESPN article that I was reading. Let's just put it this way. We'll see what happens. I don't think the Lakers are going to make a trade with the Golden State Warriors and they're going to get back Jimmy Butler. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they have any interest in Jimmy Butler. So we'll see what happens. Got some young players. Is there a Jonathan Kuminga? I don't even really think there's anything that the two teams can do. So it'd be kind of a waste of time, to be honest with you. So I'm looking at this article, and speaking of 2027, and speaking of all these teams that are positioning themselves for 2027, I saw an article, and this was in The Athletic. Sam Amick. Lakers Clippers forge parallel paths to flexibility. Will they see stars at the end? Both teams obviously positioning themselves for 2027. You go look at the Clippers just as much as I've said the Lakers, and hey, this contract's only 2 years, and that contract's going to be expired by the time you get to 2027. And Bron, they're only giving him 1 year. They're freeing up more cap space, whatever the case is, right? Clippers are doing a similar thing. Kawhi Leonard was on a 3-year deal that started last year. It expires in 2027. They didn't give Paul George a 4-year deal because that didn't fit the timeline that they had. James Harden's on a 2-year deal. He's done in 2027. Brook Lopez just signed, done in 2027. The reason why I mention all this is, as much as the Lakers could be sitting here trying to attract Giannis, Clippers are going to be trying to attract these players as well. And whatever you think of the Clippers, a couple things pop into mind. And again, I said this from the beginning. This isn't me trying to take a shot at the Clippers. This is just the reality of the Los Angeles Clippers. They are so far in the shadow of the Los Angeles Lakers. It's, that's why I always thought when Steve Ballmer bought that team, like, why don't you just go take them back to Seattle? Or not take them back to Seattle, take a team to Seattle. Why don't you get them out of LA? That was the idea, the concept. Business doesn't work like that. The value of the franchise, however you want to look at, obviously the guy's doing his thing, already built them a stadium. But let's just say hypothetically, let me play something out here real quick. Let's say that's exactly what both teams have, the same strategy. The Lakers are positioning themselves for 2027. The Clippers are positioning themselves for 2027. Tell me how the Clippers have any advantage in this. Tell me how they do. If you want to compare both franchises, you literally can't find polar opposites of what both franchises represent. Again, the Clippers over the years, they won the Kawhi Leonard sweepstakes. Paul George went over there. They had a run where Chris Paul was there and Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, and they were balling out. They never cashed anything in. But tell me, if you're a star player out there and you're trying to compare yourself to both franchises, tell me what the Clippers pitch is. I'm trying to figure this out, and I'm going to try to be as fair as I possibly can. If you're talking about the two brands, let's stop. There's nothing to talk about. So put that to the side. We obviously know that. If you're talking about history, maybe you could say, well, this franchise has 17 NBA championships. This franchise has 0 NBA championships, nor any finals appearances. Maybe you can make a case that one championship there means more than the 18th championship over here. Just looking at it from they're going to value that one more because they only got one, and they'll value that one less because they got 18 of them if they win another one. Okay? Legends. Do you want to be a legend that's part of the history of the Los Angeles Lakers? Or do you want to be a part of the history of the Clippers that should not be more than a chapter, maybe 12 pages long, and you're like, okay, well, this book is done. There just isn't much there. And I think if you were going to make a case for the Clippers before, and I think this was actually their strongest case that you could make, I think that just went away, and that's ownership. Go type into Google right now how much Steve Ballmer is worth. He's worth close to $150 billion. Steve Ballmer is going to put his investment to the Clippers he already has, built them their new arena. He's in Inglewood. He's doing his thing. Nobody's going to argue that Steve Ballmer doesn't want to win. Good front office, good head coach in Ty Lue. He's putting his money and his resources where he needs to. But the Lakers just kind of found a little bit of an equalizer, which before was not an equalizer. If this just came to which owner has the most power in regards to cash and money and resources, it was Ballmer. Guggenheim Group just came in, or Mark Walters just came in. Mark Walter individually is only worth, I think, $6-7 billion. You see how light I say that? Is worth $6-7 billion. He's a decimal point of what Ballmer's worth. But I think his company, who's the CEO of, he's been the CEO of Guggenheim Group for, I want to say 25 years. They got over $350 billion in assets or whatever the case is. Point I'm making is where I think the Clippers had their advantage before. And if you're, a Giannis Antetokounmpo, or you're one of these big-time free agents that's like, you know what, I want to go play in LA, and you're comparing the two franchises, really tough pitch for the Clippers. It just is. And I think the pitch that you had before, now I think equalizes because of Mark Walters. I think it equalizes because what happened to the structure of the ownership of the Lakers. I think that now isn't this wild advantage anymore that it used to be for the Clippers. So, the article is really, really good. Like I mentioned, talking about how the two teams have similar strategies, but damn, if you're a player out there and, you're trying to compare the two franchises and where to go, and you're walking into a room and you have this presentation from the Clippers, and then you walk into a room and you have this presentation from the Lakers, you already got Luka that's a part of the Lakers. He's only 26 years old. You already got the brand. You got the history. You got the legends. Go look up the, obviously up in the rafters. You got all that stuff. And now you got ownership that I think is in par when it comes to, well, how much money can I spend on the franchise? So good article. I just find it, difficult. And by the way, if there's some Clipper fans in here that want to, share their argument, they can feel free to do so. But that's a tough pitch. Let's put it that way. I think next year LeBron is going to be a Clipper. Michael, that's fascinating. Fascinating. Really, really interesting, actually. Imagine that. Imagine if LeBron said next year, I'm going to take the league minimum and I'm going to the Clippers. Fascinating. Honestly, that's a very, very interesting angle to take. He's building his home. What is that home worth? I don't know how many millions of dollars or whatever the case is that he wants to stay in LA. That's fascinating. That's very interesting. And frankly, to be honest with you, he could just simply say, he could simply say that, yeah, well, it's not on me. I wanted to stay with the Lakers. They didn't want me to stay here. So I move on. That's really interesting, Michael. That's actually really interesting. Let's see. Steve Ballmer, Lakers. It's like Adidas always. I think Ballmer's kind of doing his thing. I think he's doing his thing. All right, Ivy. Alan, sorry I got topic. Can you give us your honest opinion on Bradley Beal? Do you really think he moves the needle if it means bringing Austin off the bench? Okay, I'll give you my exact opinion on this, and it's a good transition here. So, latest on Bradley Beal, Zach Lowe was doing his podcast. Guys, every sign pointing he's going to the Clippers. I think at this point, if he doesn't go to the Clippers, I think everyone would be shocked. Clippers been repeatedly mentioned as the favorites to land Beal's services. I think the question now just comes down to when it's going to be. Here's what Zach Lowe said on his podcast. And I'm just like, to be pile up top of effect in those years. I think the wave and stretch is going to happen next week, and I think he'll sign with the Clippers next week. So the latest is everyone's expecting him to get bought out from the Phoenix Suns. And frankly, I think everybody's expecting him to end up with the Clippers. So that's the latest. So I think any question there or any Laker angle, I think I'd be disingenuous if I'm trying to give you a Laker angle. I just don't think there is one. I think at this point, he's probably already made his decision. Whatever they're working out with the Phoenix Suns, whatever that paperwork takes, whatever they're trying to work out in the background. The only other reason why I thought this might be a little bit of a delay is the Jonathan Kuminga situation in Golden State. If they could figure that out and he was gone, then they could potentially come in with $14.1 million. And maybe Bradley Beal's like, hey, between the Clippers and the Warriors, and I could go make another $8-9 extra million, and the Warriors have a pretty damn good team as well. I'm going to go to the Warriors. That's the only one I could look at. From a Laker perspective, I don't think there's anything there. So I had it in my notes to get into that as well. And obviously I was able to do so right there. Beal said himself, his dream was always to be a Laker and play with LeBron, but Rob won't get him. He'll go to the Clippers with CP3. Yeah, I think there's a couple angles on that. I think part of the other reason why he'll go to the Clippers, it's going to be a starter on the Clippers. I mean, they traded Norman Powell, I think, to make this happen. And Clippers got a good team. They got a good roster. I don't know what's going to happen with them. I just know that they got 8-9 guys that they can go to that's pretty solid. All right, let's get a couple more of these comments in here. Thank you, by the way, for hanging out here on this Friday and talking hoops with me. So appreciate you guys doing that. Let's see. It'd be foolish to not utilize LeBron's leadership and wisdom, once in a lifetime chance. Yeah, I'm going to say this on Bron. I think LeBron put the franchise back on its tracks. I'm going to give him all the credit in the world because I think he did. But I think there also comes a time where it's like, all right, the train is moving. We're back. We might have to let go some of the stuff that is holding the entire train back, or is holding us back to kind of plan for the future. But I do think LeBron single-handedly put the Lakers back on the train tracks. I'm going to give him all that credit because I think he deserves it. So I think that part is certainly important to mention. All right, I'm going to give a shout-out to one of our partners here. Thank you to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Been fun texting with him through free agency and everything else. He's a big Laker fan, so he's got obviously his opinion on things. Very appreciative and appreciate the support of this channel and this partnership. Having partnerships, it's running my own business for the first time in my life, not working for a company or corporation or whatever the case is. Every piece has to connect, and having the right partners is a big piece, at least in my business, of trying to help the growth of the channel and everything else. So shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. He is an injury attorney. He can help anybody in the state of California. If you are a family member who's been in a serious injury, a wrongful death case, please do me a favor and reach out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. They can help you. We created a URL, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you go on the website, get a free consultation, give them just some information. Okay, what's the case about? What's happening? I've mentioned this to you guys before. I'll always mention this. If you want a direct introduction to the owner of the company and Brad Wallace, I'll be happy to do so. He used to advertise with me when I was over at 710 ESPN, supporting me there. I come do my independent journey, and he's one of the biggest cheerleaders of saying, Slee, go make it happen. And I got you. I'm going to support you on here as well. I'd love for this, obviously, to be a phenomenal business plan for him as well. If we have any listeners on here that are looking for an injury attorney, please at least consider Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Okay, some of the comments here. Somebody saying on Bradley Beal, starting job is what he wants. And he's probably going to get it. I think that's very, very likely to happen. Let's see what we got here. Why in the world did they hype up Cooper Flagg? Baisley and his teammate Naismith look better than him out there. Give him a second, guys. He's played one summer league game, and he had my favorite quote. I'm not going to have a better quote this year. He said, "I played the worst game of my life." 5 of 21 from the field. Cooper Flagg was not good last night. And you know who admitted that? Cooper Flagg. You know, I hate when players play awful and then they come on and they're like, yeah, you know, everything I wanted to do, I did it. I missed that shot actually on purpose. He was real with himself. He didn't have a good game. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. LeBron James was not the Lakers' problem. Those young boys came up short when it mattered. Okay, I got a couple other things that I want to get into here, and we're really actually able to kind of cruise through some of these topics here. I got a couple NBA topics, and then I want to do the weekend preview, so let me do that here real quick. Couple things that happened yesterday. How about this, guys? I know everybody saw this. Jalen Williams. He signs an extension, a rookie extension. Do you know now the Oklahoma City Thunder have committed $822 million since winning an NBA championship? What are the $822 million? Shea, Chad Holmgren, and Jalen Williams. All three of those guys get paid. What's going to be really interesting for the Thunder, and this is just how the new NBA is constructed. They're fine this year. They're going to bring everybody back this year. And they will be the heavy favorites to win another NBA championship. The question is going to be what happens next year when all those rookie extensions start coming to fruition. And then they're going to have to make decisions on Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein and Lou Dort. And, you know, they're going to have decisions to make on their role players. And if you don't think role players matter, go ask the Denver Nuggets if role players matter. Go ask some of these other teams out there that won a championship and then had to, because of the new CBA, had to cut around the edges. It ended up costing them, you know, obviously what could be, however you want to call it, a dynasty or making it to 2 or 3 straight NBA finals or something along those lines. So the Thunder are good for now, but $822 million has been committed. I got one other NBA story, Nikola Jokic. He's not going to sign an extension this offseason. And if you want to try to make a story about that and say, oh my gosh, that's it, Jokic is going to become available, all that stuff. Here's why he's not signing it. If he waits until next summer, so he's eligible to sign a 3-year, $212 million extension this year. However, if he waits until next summer, he could sign a 4-year, $293 million extension. So he'll basically add $81 million of security. So for those who are not 100% sure why Nikola Jokic is not signing that deal, he's got 81 million reasons not to sign it. So Jokic is going to be okay. He's going to get paid. I think Jokic is probably one of those players that never leaves Denver. If I had to just kind of give you, I think Giannis ends up somewhere else. I think Jokic is probably one of those players that never goes anywhere. Feels like not just happy in Denver, but I think a more competent front office that he could depend on and rely on. I don't feel the same way with the Milwaukee Bucks. So those were a couple NBA things that I just wanted to squeeze in there and kind of give everybody a heads up on. Okay, I'm going to look at more of your comments here in just a second. Then we'll get the weekend preview, and then we'll call it a day. Lexus Santa Monica. So part of my job here is not only to try to present you guys good content, get you guys good guests, be consistent and be here, but the other part of my job is to take care of our partners, and hopefully you guys support the partners as well. LexusSantaMonica.com. Quick story about, what I drive day to day. I drove from LA down to San Diego and kind of always back and forth. I've been driving Lexus now for about 15 years. I got 180,000 miles on my Lexus right now. It was really, really important for me to try to get this partnership going with Lexus Santa Monica. I just believe in it. It's a very genuine ad that I'm reading here. I got my car from Lexus Santa Monica. The general manager there, Matt Unger, general manager, part owner. If you're in the market for a car right now, you're in the middle of a lease that you're interested in getting out of, or your lease is about to expire, or you just want a new car. You've been kind of waiting and saving to get a new car, or you could do what I did. I went across the street at Lexus Santa Monica, and they got their pre-owned lot there that they own as well. And I bought a Lexus that was pre-owned. They're reliable. They're wildly, wildly dependent. They're luxurious. And you could find a way to make it a smart investment if you do it the right way. when I get a car, I keep it long-term. Lexus is one of those cars that you keep long-term, and you really accomplish a lot when you do get a Lexus. You got a car that you feel like you can certainly drive around for a long period of time. Most people here that are on the show are in Southern California, and Lexus will definitely check that off your list. I'm going to give you guys an email address. If at any time you are in the market for a car, please do me a favor. Reach out to Matthew Unger at lacarguy.com, Matthew Unger at lacarguy.com, and just tell him, hey, listen to the ad here. Al was doing his show, and he said that you can help me with a car, and I guarantee you he'll help you. If you also want to just send him an email and tell him thank you for supporting the channel, you can do that as well. So LexusSantaMonica.com, obviously our official automotive partner here on the channel. All right, let's take a look at some comments here, and then we're going to do the weekend preview. Let's see what we got here. All right, people on here going after Thibault, Matisse Thibault. Darren, I saw your comment there. LeBron needs to stick the landing of his iconic career in Cleveland, not New York. I'm still tripping out what whoever that was that said, watch him go to the Clippers next year. I'm still tripping out about that. That's fascinating. That truly is fascinating. Braun fans want the Knicks trade so bad. Tell you what I want. As somebody that's covering the Lakers, rooting for the Lakers, if you're going to trade him, go get assets. That's all I'll say. You know, if you can go get assets, go get assets. Yeah, that thing's tripping me out. This whole Clippers thing, I think threw me off. Never thought about it. I mean, you want to talk about, hey, okay, you know what? Lakers don't want me. I'm going to stay in LA, and I'm going to go sign for the league minimum with the Clippers. By the way, they'll still have Harden would still be there. Kawhi would still be there. Brook Lopez would be there. Ivica Zubac would still be there. They still have all those guys. All right, let's see what we got here. Thank you, Ivy. Appreciate you. Okay, let's do a final thing here. I got a couple things on the weekend preview, and then we're going to call it a day. I am going to just kind of promote something for, let's see, weekend preview. There we go. Something real quick for next week. Brad Turner from the LA Times is going to join the show on Monday. I know Trevor Lane is going to come on. We're still kind of coordinating a date. We're working on Brian Windhorst. I'm still going to try to coordinate something with him. So next week, there's going to be a lot going on. I'm really looking forward to hopefully a little bit more information, a little bit more action around the Lakers and the NBA as well. But should be a fun next week. So just keep that in mind. Weekend preview here. What do we got going on in baseball? If you're looking for some solid series this weekend, Padres and the Phillies. That's going to be in San Diego. They start a 3-game set tonight. We already talked a little bit about this. Somebody had a comment. Dodgers and the Giants. That should be a fun matchup. Both teams, you know, whether the Dodgers have lost some, what have they've lost 5-6 in a row, whatever the case is, I don't really think it matters. I still think they're going to control the division, but obviously a really good divisional rival. So big game for both of those teams. After that, I mean, from a baseball perspective, to be honest with you, I always just kind of pay attention to the NL West. I think most of the people on here are also just paying attention to the NL West. Only other kind of cool series, two really historic franchises, the Cubs and the Yankees playing against each other. They start a 3-game set. This will obviously be the final 3-game set, and then we'll all move to the All-Star break and go from there. Last thing that I got from a weekend preview, NCAA says March Madness expansion to 72 or 76 still viable. 64 teams is not enough. They need more. I think that's enough, but apparently that's not enough. Weekend preview is presented by the Wallace firm. Go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, or click on the link in my description. Thank you again for their partnership. Okay, a couple more comments, and then we're going to call it a day. Then we are all done. What do you guys got here? Rebuild awesome, but not with Pelinka. Let's see. Wonder if we get Zubac. Still can't believe they just gave up Zubac for nothing. LeBron knows what he's doing and is controlling the narrative. At least he is trying. All right. I appreciate everybody. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. Thank you very much for being a part of the channel. Fun week this week. Not 100% sure what I'm going to do with the Summer League yet. I probably will not be doing anything post-game tomorrow, but I might do something when Lakers take on the Celtics later next week. So we'll kind of keep that in mind. And like I mentioned, coming up on Monday, Brad Turner of the LA Times is going to join the show. And then hopefully I got the rest of the week lined up as well. Thank you for being a part of the show. Hope you guys have a great Friday night. Lakers 5:30 game tomorrow in Summer League in Las Vegas. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys on Monday.